Allah, but if it is not so then you shall see what I do. He said, May Allah be merciful to you. Have you lost your senses? Do you think there is only one paradise? There are many paradises and your son is in the most superior paradise of Al-Firdaus. Volume 5, Book 59, number 319. Narrated by Ali, Allah's apostle sent me, Abu Marthad and Az-Zubair, and all of us were riding horses and said, Go till you reach Raudat Kak, where there is a pagan woman carrying a letter from Hatib bin Abi Balta, to the pagans of Mecca. So we found her riding her camel at the place which Allah's apostle had mentioned. We said to her, Give us the letter. She said, I have no letter. Then we made her camel kneel down and we searched her but we found no letter. Then we said, Allah's apostle had not told us a lie certainly, take out the letter, otherwise we will strip you naked. When she saw that we were determined, she put her hand below her waist belt, for she had tied her cloak around her waist, and she took out the letter, and we brought her to Allah's apostle. Then Umar said, O Allah's apostle, this Hatib has betrayed Allah, his apostle and the believers, let me cut off his neck. The Prophet asked Hatib, What made you do this? Hatib said, By Allah I did not intend to give up my belief in Allah and his apostle, but I wanted to have some influence among the Mecca people so that through it, Allah might protect my family and property. There is none of your companions but has some of his relatives there through whom Allah protects his family and property. The Prophet said, He has spoken the truth, do no say to him but good. Umar said, He has betrayed Allah, his apostle and the faithful believers, let me cut off his neck. The Prophet said, Is he not one of the Badr warriors? Maybe Allah looked at the Badr warriors and said, Do whatever you like as I have granted paradise to you, or said, I have forgiven you. On this, tears came out of Umar's eyes and he said, Allah and his apostle know better. Volume 5, Book 59, number 320, narrated by Usaid. On the day of Badr, Allah's apostle said to us, When the enemy comes near to you, shoot at them, but use your arrows sparingly, so that your arrows should not be wasted. Volume 5, Book 59, number 321, narrated by Abu Usaid. On the day of the Battle of Badr, Allah's apostle said to us, When your enemy comes near to you, that is overcome you by sheer number, shoot at them but use your arrows sparingly. Volume 5, Book 59, number 322, narrated by Al-Bara bin Azib. On the day of Uhud the Prophet appointed Abdullah bin Jubair as chief of the archers, and 70 among us were injured and martyred. On the day of the Battle of Badr, the Prophet and his companions had inflicted 140 casualties on the pagans, 70 were taken prisoners and 70 were killed. Abu Sufyan said, This is a day of revenge for the day of Badr and the issue of war is undecided. Volume 5, Book 59, number 323, narrated by Abu Musa, that the Prophet said, The good is what Allah gave us later on, after Uhud, and the reward of truthfulness is what Allah gave us after the day of the Battle of Badr. Volume 5, Book 59, number 324, narrated by Abdur Rahman bin Auf. While I was fighting in the front file on the day of the Battle of Badr, suddenly I looked behind and saw on my right and left 2 young boys and did not feel safe by standing between them. Then one of them asked me secretly so that his companion may not hear, "Oh uncle, show me Abu Jahl." I said, "Oh nephew, what will you do to him?" He said, "I have promised Allah that if I see him, that is Abu Jahl, I will either kill him or be killed before I kill him." Then the other said the same to me secretly so that his companion should not hear. I would not have been pleased to be in between 2 other men instead of them. Then I pointed him, that is Abu Jahl, out to them. Both of them attacked him like 2 hawks till they knocked him down. Those 2 boys were the sons of Afra, that is an Ansari woman. Volume 5, Book 59, number 325, narrated by Abu Huraira. Allah's apostle sent out 10 spies under the command of Asim bin Thabit al-Ansari, the grandfather of Asim bin Umar al-Khattab. When they reached a place called Al-Hadab between Usfan and Mecca, their presence was made known to a sub-tribe of Hudhayl called Banu Lihyan. So, they sent about 100 archers after them. The archers traced the footsteps of the Muslims, till they found the traces of dates which they had eaten at one of their camping places. The archers said, "These dates are of Yathrib, that is Medina," and went on tracing the Muslims' footsteps. When Asim and his companions became aware of them, they took refuge in a high place. But the enemy encircled them and said, "Come down and surrender. We give you a solemn promise and covenant that we will not kill any one of you." Asim bin Thabit said, "O people, as for myself I will never get down to be under the protection of an infidel. O Allah, inform your prophet about us." So the archers threw their arrows at them and martyred Asim. 3 of them came down and surrendered to them, accepting their promise and covenant, and they were Kubayb, Zaid bin ad-Dathina, and another man. When the archers got hold of them, they untied the strings of the arrow bows and tied their captives with them. The third man said, "This is the first proof of treachery. By Allah, I will not go with you, for I follow the example of these." He meant the martyred companions. The archers dragged him and struggled with him, till they martyred him. Then Qubayb and Zayd bin ad-Dathina were taken away by them, and later on they sold them as slaves in Mecca after the event of the Badr battle. The sons of Al-Harith bin Amr bin Nawfal bought Qubayb, for he was a person who had killed their father Al-Harith bin Amr on the day of the Battle of Badr. Qubayb remained imprisoned by them till they decided unanimously to kill him. One day Qubayb borrowed from a daughter of Al-Harith a razor for shaving his public hair, and she lent it to him. By chance, while she was inattentive, a little son of hers went to him, that is Qubayb, and she saw that Qubayb had seated him on his thigh while the razor was in his hand. She was so much terrified that Qubayb noticed her fear and said, "Are you afraid that I will kill him? Never would I do such a thing." Later on, while narrating the story, she said, "By Allah, I had never seen a better captive than Qubayb. By Allah, one day I saw him eating from a bunch of grapes in his hand while he was fettered with iron chains and, at that time, there was no fruit in Mecca. She used to say, it was food Allah had provided Qubayb with. When they took him to Al-Hil out of Mecca sanctuary to martyr him, Qubayb requested them, 'Allow me to offer a 2-rakat prayer.' They allowed him and he prayed 2 rakat and then said, 'By Allah, had I not been afraid that you would think I was worried, I would have prayed more.' Then he invoked evil upon them, saying, 'O Allah, count them and kill them one by one, and do not leave any one of them.' Then he recited, 'As I am martyred as a Muslim, I do not care in what way I receive my death for Allah's sake, for this is for the cause of Allah. If he wishes, he will bless the cut limbs of my body.' Then Abu Sarva Ubka bin al-Harith went up to him and killed him. It was Qubayb who set the tradition of praying for any Muslim to be martyred in captivity, before he is executed. The Prophet told his companions of what had happened to those 10 spies, on the same day they were martyred. Some Quraysh people, being informed of Asim bin Thabit's death, sent some messengers to bring a part of his body so that his death might be known for certain, for he had previously killed one of their leaders in the Battle of Badr. But Allah sent a swarm of wasps to protect the dead body of Asim, and they shielded him from the messengers who could not cut anything from his body. Volume 5, Book 59, number 326, narrated by Nafi ibn Umar was once told that Said bin Zayd bin Amr bin Nufail, one of the Badr warriors, had fallen ill on a Friday. Ibn Umar rode to him late in the forenoon. The time of the Friday prayer approached, and Ibn Umar did not take part in the Friday prayer. Narrated Subayya bint al-Harith, that she was married to Sa'd bin Khawla, who was from the tribe of Bani Amr bin Lu'ay, and was one of those who fought the Badr battle. He died while she was pregnant during Hajjat al-Wada. Soon after his death she gave birth to a child. When she completed the term of deliver, that is became clean, she prepared herself for suitors. Abu As-Sanabil bin Bukak, a man from the tribe of Bani Abdud-Dal, called on her and said to her, "What? I see you dressed up for the people to ask you in marriage. Do you want to marry? By Allah, you are not allowed to marry unless 4 months and 10 days have elapsed after your husband's death." Subayya in her narration said, "When he, that is Abu As-Sanabil, said this to me, I put on my dress in the evening and went to Allah's apostle and asked him about this problem. He gave the verdict that I was free to marry, as I had already given birth to my child, and ordered me to marry if I wished." Volume 5, Book 59, number 327, narrated by Rifaya, who was one of the Badr warriors. Gabriel came to the Prophet and said, "How do you look upon the warriors of Badr among yourselves?" The Prophet said, "As the best of the Muslims," or said a similar statement. On that, Gabriel said, "And so are the angels who participated in the Badr battle." Volume 5, Book 59, number 328, narrated by Mu'ad bin Rifa'ah bin Rafi. Rifa'ah was one of the warriors of Badr, while his father Rafi was one of the people of Al-Aqaba, that is those who gave the pledge of allegiance at Al-Aqaba. Rafi used to say to his son, "I would not have been happier if I had taken part in the Badr battle instead of taking part in the Aqaba pledge." Volume 5, Book 59, number 329, narrated by Mu'ad. The one who asked the Prophet was Gabriel. Volume 5, Book 59, number 330, narrated by Ibn Abbas. The Prophet said on the day of the Battle of Badr, "This is Gabriel holding the head of his horse and equipped with arms for the battle." Volume 5, Book 59, number 331, narrated by Anas. Abu Zayd died and did not leave any offspring, and he was one of the Badr warriors. Volume 5, Book 59, number 332, narrated by Ibn Abbas. Abu Sa'id bin Malik al-Khudri returned from a journey and his family offered him some meat of sacrifices offered at Id ul-Adha. On that he said, "I will not eat it before asking whether it is allowed." He went to his maternal brother Qatada bin Naman, who was one of the Badr warriors, and asked him about it. Qatada said, "After your departure an order was issued by the Prophet cancelling the prohibition of eating sacrifices after 3 days." Volume 5, Book 59, number 333, narrated by Urwa az-Zubair said, "I met Ubaidah bin Sa'id bin al-As on the day of the Battle of Badr, and he was covered with armor. so much that only his eyes were visible. He was surnamed Abu al-Karish. He said, proudly, I am Abu al-Karish. I attacked him with a spear and pierced his eye and he died. I put my foot over his body to pull that spear out, but even then I had to use a great force to take it out, as its both ends were bent. Urwa said, later on Allah's apostle asked Az-Zubair for the spear and he gave it to him. When Allah's apostle died, Az-Zubair took it back. After that Abu Bakr demanded it, and he gave it to him, and when Abu Bakr died, Az-Zubair took it back. Umar then demanded it from him, and he gave it to him. When Umar died, Az-Zubair took it back, and then Uthman demanded it from him, and he gave it to him. When Uthman was martyred, the spear remained with Ali's offspring. Then Abdullah bin Az-Zubair demanded it back, and it remained with him till he was martyred. Volume 5, Book 59, number 334, narrated by Ubadah bin As-Samit, who was one of the Badr warriors. Allah's apostle said, Give me the Pledge of Allegiance. Volume 5, Book 59, number 335, narrated by Aisha, the wife of the Prophet. Abu Hudhaifa, one of those who fought the Battle of Badr, with Allah's apostle adopted Salim as his son, and married his niece Hind bint al-Wad bin Utbah to him, and Salim was a freed slave of an Ansari woman. Allah's apostle also adopted Zayd as his son. In the pre-Islamic period of ignorance, the custom was that, if one adopted a son, the people would call him by the name of the adopted father, whom he would inherit as well, till Allah revealed, Call them, adopted sons, by the names of their fathers. 33.5. Volume 5, Book 59, number 336, narrated by Ar-Rubai bint Muawid. The Prophet came to me after consuming his marriage with me and sat down on my bed as you, the sub-narrator, are sitting now, and small girls were beating the tambourine and singing in lamentation of my father, who had been killed on the day of the Battle of Badr. Then one of the girls said, There is a prophet amongst us who knows what will happen tomorrow. The Prophet said to her, Do not say this, but go on saying what you have spoken before. Volume 5, Book 59, number 337, narrated by Ibn Abbas as below, Hadith 338. Volume 5, Book 59, number 338, narrated by Ibn Abbas Abu Talha, a companion of Allah's apostle and one of those who fought at Badr together with Allah's apostle, told me that Allah's apostle said, Angels do not enter a house in which there is a dog or a picture. He meant the images of creatures that have souls. Volume 5, Book 59, number 339, narrated by Ali as below, Hadith 340. Volume 5, Book 59, number 340, narrated by Ali. I had a she-camel which I got in my share from the booty of the Battle of Badr, and the Prophet had given me another she-camel from the kumus, which Allah had bestowed on him that day. And when I intended to celebrate my marriage to Fatima, the daughter of the Prophet, I made an arrangement with a goldsmith from Bani Kainuka that he should go with me to bring idkir, that is a kind of grass used by goldsmiths, which I intended to sell to goldsmiths in order to spend its price on the marriage banquet. While I was collecting ropes and sacks of pack saddles for my 2 she-camels which were kneeling down beside an Ansari's dwelling, and after collecting what I needed, I suddenly found that the humps of the 2 she-camels had been cut off, and their flanks had been cut open, and portions of their livers had been taken out. On seeing that, I could not help weeping. I asked, Who has done that? They, that is the people, said, Hamza bin Abdul Muttalib has done it. He is present in this house with some Ansari drinkers, a girl singer, and his friends. The singer said in her song, Oh Hamza, get at the fat she-camels. On hearing this, Hamza rushed to his sword and cut of the camels' humps and cut their flanks open and took out portions from their livers. Then I came to the Prophet, with whom Zayd bin Haritha was present. The Prophet noticed my state and asked, What is the matter? I said, O Allah's apostle, I have never experienced such a day as today. Hamza attacked my 2 she-camels, cut off their humps and cut their flanks open, and he is still present in a house along some drinkers. The Prophet asked for his cloak, put it on, and proceeded, followed by Zayd bin Haritha and myself, till he reached the house where Hamza was. He asked the permission to enter, and he was permitted. The Prophet started blaming Hamza for what he had done. Hamza was drunk and his eyes were red. He looked at the Prophet, then raised his eyes to look at his knees and raised his eaves more to look at his face, and then said, You are not but my father's slaves. When the Prophet understood that Hamza was drunk, he retreated, walking backwards went out, and we left with him. Volume 5, Book 59, number 341, narrated by Ibn Makal. Ali led the funeral prayer of Sal bin Hunayf and said, He was one of the warriors of Badr. Volume 5, Book 59, number 342, narrated by Abdullah bin Umar. Umar bin al-Khattab said, When my daughter, Hafsa bint Umar, lost her husband, Kunais bin Hudhaifa Asarni, who was one of the companions of Allah's apostle, and had fought in the Battle of Badr, and had died in Medina, I met Uthman bin Affan and suggested that he should marry Hafsa, saying, If you wish I will marry Hafsa bint Umar to you. On that he said, I will think it over. I waited for a few days and